Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is turn 32 of Once More Under the Breach, and we are getting set up for the attack on Niflheim. One thing you may notice, I have not actually taken Shambolic. In fact, nobody has. The reason for that is, well, I'll show you. I negotiated with Hinnom. He agreed to let me have Shambolic 120 because he intends to declare war on Agartha, which is fine. Let them fight. That will distract Agartha from me, because Agartha is, I believe, allied with Niflheim. And it will give Algulod, Hinnom, something to chew on. He has a couple of Melkarts. This Melkart has actually been standing here for a while. It's the same one, Amarapi. I don't know what it's doing. It's possible he's forgotten about him, question mark? But in any case, I'm happy to let him just keep doing whatever it is he's doing. In the messages, you can see Tianxi has taken this province instead of going into the big army that was stacked up right there. Hinnom has something of an army stacked up here, as well as, of course, his usual demon production facility. He started producing Maziks as well as Seirs. So more and more demons being summoned here. If I could get a strike force in here to attack them, I might be able to accomplish something, but honestly, with that many demons and 4 Baals, not sure it would work well. However, in my news, so you can see there was a battle in Shambolic. We attacked. I did not send my mages, just my troops, and he has, I think, the largest amount of province defense I have ever seen guarding this province. This has to be, I don't even know, 30 or 40 points, at least, of province defense. It has to be more than 40 points, because you don't get 4 units per point of province defense. So this is way overkill, which I didn't know. This is probably why Agartha agreed so readily to give this province up, because they saw that it was completely chock full of province defense. So fortunately, my Voice of the Lion got out. I did lose that force, but that force was not important. It's a darn good thing I didn't send in the Buddhas, though. Up here is where I'm gathering most of my forces. Two of my Buddhas are currently researching, while one is summoning shades. Over here, I'm also gathering some more forces. I'm forging another Dwarven Hammer. I've already forged one and given it to Hassan, because I'm forging Ranger's Boots to go on my raiding Buddhas as they enter Niflheimish territory. Up here, Niflheim has once again taken their province back from the Dark Vines and Bloodhenge Druids that took it over. This has to be a spell someone is casting. There's no way this many random events would hit one particular fort province. I think it's probably because I bet, well, I don't know. I mean, that's got to be a nature spell, I suppose. I don't know what spell it is. But in any case, they've got an army here. I got to see what it was. It was a Jarl, 3 Herdmen, a Javelinist, and 32 Skin Shifters. The Skin Shifters are definitely going to be the most dangerous units, because they can turn into werewolves, and they also regenerate, and regenerating giants are in general bad news. So that's going to be hard to deal with. Skellispam is not going to be able to handle that. I'm going to need something much, much more powerful in order to fight my way through armies of Skin Shifters. My tool at the moment, my tool of choice, is going to be Flaming Arrows. I have accumulated quite a few pygmies, and will be accumulating more. And they will provide support there. I've also got some elephants, some infantry, a few terracotta warriors, more pygmies. I'm recruiting more pygmies. Actually, I'm going to take those infantry away and spend all that money on recruiting more pygmies. I was recruiting some pygmies down here, but I think instead I'm going to take them away and send all the recruitment up north to recruit more pygmies. Because pygmies are life for me. The more pygmies I have, the better, because every single pygmy is a flaming arrow, and every single flaming arrow gets 2 chances to do damage, and thus has 2 chances of killing a giant. I'm recruiting Buddhas in God's Tomb Mountains now, because I had the money for it. I'm also recruiting Buddhas in Urfel. So I now have 2 forts pumping out Buddhas. I'm recruiting research here, research here, research here, and research here. In my capital, I am recruiting Lion Queens pretty steadily, because with that high fire, they are the ones who can most easily throw down flaming arrows. With just a couple of gems, they can throw down flaming arrows with no prep time. So we've got that. We're gathering our Buddhas. I'll have 3 here. 1, 2 more coming. I have 1 more here, moving up to here to join Fikiririni. So I'm going to end up with 4 here and 3 here, all of whom will be pretty much ready to go. I can't summon any more shades this turn because I am making exactly enough research to finish construction level 4. It is 3 turns until war is declared with Niflheim. In those turns, what I want to do is, I've discovered a new death site right here, the Graveyard of the Damned, which gave me a few more death gems. And I have actually quite a significant Astral Pearl income, which is interesting. The Moon Mage's Circle, the Mirror Palace, and one of these temples, I believe, yeah, the Temple of the Moon, all gave me Astral Pearls, which means I can do quite a bit of alchemy. Next turn, when I finish Construction 4, my Buddhas with the Dwarven Hammers are going to forge Skull Staffs, which increase death. I will use those Skull Staffs to boost up a couple of my Buddhas' death magic to enable them to spam skeletons more efficiently. As I said, Skeleспam cannot deal with an army of skin shifters. It can, however, take out basic Niflheim province defense. My Buddhas will then have 2 turns to work their way a little bit deeper into Niflheim territory, where they'll be able to take out provinces and earn me a big swath of territory right at the start of the conflict. What I want, ideally, is to block up the movement of this army, because giants... Let's go back to the Gentle Woods. Let's view the battle so I can show you something. Skin shifters have map move 16. This means that under the right circumstances, they can move through 2 provinces a turn, so they can move to reinforce pretty quickly. However, enemy-controlled territory has a +8 movement point penalty, which means in almost all circumstances, you can only move through 1 enemy province in a single turn. That being so, I want to take the provinces that are next to this fortress in order to prevent this army from attacking me. Now, to be fair, probably this army is going to be focused on because will be attacking simultaneously. Hopefully, in the ideal case, they will even also be distracted by Tianshi, in which case there shouldn't be any problem. But this army is going to plow in this direction and try and take Welrid as quickly as I can. If I can. I think I'll have the forces to do it. I already have over 100 units here, and I have a number, a bunch more coming, plus all of these pygmies that I'm going to be recruiting. In fact, one concern is that I might not have enough command to lead all my troops. In Pingo, I have 3 commanders. I have Hassan. I don't know. If I can free up the gold, I may recruit another commander or 2 and send them in. Well, I've got Kinda as well, and Kinda has 110 leadership, so that should be fine. So, yeah, that's going to be the plan. Big army, go this way, take Welrid. Buddhas raid and steal provinces as quickly as possible in order to shut down Niflheim's mobility and, just as importantly, reduce their income. In particular, if I could get into these provinces are going to be the heart and soul of Niflheim's income. If I can take them, he might actually not be making enough money to pay all his troops. Almost certainly not. I mean, you can see upkeep is usually much, much less than income. But hey, a man can dream. At the very least, it may shut down his ability to recruit a whole lot more mages and skin shifters to throw at me, because giant troops are expensive. So, that is what we're going for. We're doing a little bit more site searching, not a whole lot. I don't know if I'm going to send Funny Guy to join the battle. I think I'm probably going to keep him back to research and forge, especially because he has been horror marked. I don't know how long he's got, to be honest. I want to get him some bodyguards just in case, but man, it's a hard knock life for him. I'm gonna move Hippodamos down here, I think, because I don't have many troops, or really any troops up here. I may also send a bunch of my research mages as evocation spammers. I don't really want to do that, but I don't think I need to. I think I can keep them back here. In emergencies, I have them. These 4 can throw fireballs. These guys can throw magma bolts. He can throw fireballs. I've got options. I've got backup troops, and I have this other Lion Queen moving up north with another army of pygmies and a few infantry. So I think I'm in a pretty good spot, assuming that Flaming Arrows works out okay. Since I've reached Construction 3, I can also use Buddhas to support the battles by casting Iron Warriors on my, Legions of Steel on my infantry, which will boost their protection by 3, make them take a little bit less damage from giant blows. It still honestly probably won't save them, but it might. It will at least make them tougher. So that's the plan. I've got scouts moving around, all that good stuff. I'm continuing to build scouts instead of mages down here, so that I can just flood this area with scouts, because my next target after Niflheim, Agartha, is probably going to be eaten by Hinnom. In the ideal case, actually, they'll grind into a bloody stalemate right around here. That would be lovely. But I anticipate that Algulod will probably win, because Agartha's armies are pretty predictable, and their strategies so far have not been complex, which, to be fair, my strategies haven't been complex either, but I don't think they have a good answer to Melkart's. I don't have any idea what Baratos is doing, really. I don't have many eyes in this part of the world. I need more information, which is hard to get. I'm moving my scouts, especially because I'm moving my scouts away, because I need to get them into Niflheim. That's one reason why I'm just mass-producing scouts there. I need 3 scouts per turn instead of 1 scout per turn. I think is worth sacrificing 1 mage at this point, since I now have so many mage production centers. So that's the plan, and we will see how it is executed, and I'll see you in turn 33. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is turn 33 of Once More Under the Breach, and the battle plans are progressing. You may notice here, as you look at the big lump of commanders I have over on this side, I am doing a lot of forging right now, because I just hit construction level 4, which opened up some of the more powerful items. So if we look at my messages, just reached construction 4, summoned some shades, forgive my stutter. Didn't find any magic sites, but that's fine, we'll keep working at it. This is interesting. Baratos just attacked Tianshi, so they are now at war. I don't know how many other Baratian armies there are, but Baratian soldiers are not bad. Elite soldiers are pretty solid, regular old soldiers are okay, and of course they do have war elephants like Machaka, although a little bit lower in morale. Now, Tianshi had a very large army over here. I lost sight of them. They were in this province, I thought, in Golamrod. No, they were up here in the mountains of Evernight. And they appear to have backed off, probably to face off against Baratos. So I don't know where these 500 demons are going, but that is probably the largest army that has been in the game to date. It's mostly free spawn, but they are demon free spawn, and this army is hugely, hugely dangerous just because it's so large. So where it will go, that is the question. Hopefully not towards me, because that would seriously derail my plans. Up here, I have my army. My army right now is about 300 units or so. A large majority of them are pygmies, who will be taking advantage of flaming arrows to, well, flame all over people. That's about 100 of them there. There's another 100 there. About 200 pygmies, and then a whole bunch of assorted infantry and elephants. We'll stick those infantry in there. I've got a few war lions that I'm not really doing anything with. We'll just kind of throw them in the back to absorb attack rear orders. So this army, in one more turn, with another recruitment wave of pygmies and with those guys joined up, will be ready to go. I also have another Lion Queen coming up for the second wave, with about 40 pygmies and a few infantry. So that is going to go into Niflheim up here, and take them out just as fast and hard as possible. Over here, I am also forging. I forged a couple of dwarven hammers, which give me an even bigger forge bonus. With the forge bonus of 3, my Buddhas can forge cheap units for under half cost, which is why he's forging a Girdle of Might, as is Mbamba. I'm using a hammer to forge a hammer in order to get my hammers as cheaply as possible, so that they pay off even quicker. So next turn, I have one turn in which I'm forging Girdles of Might, which give Reinvigoration, and Boots of the Messenger, which give Reinvigoration and faster map move, potentially enough to allow Buddhas to move across 2 enemy provinces at once. You can look at map move here. A Plains province costs 6, and an extra +6 for stealthy units, so a Plains province costs 12. With map move of 20 or 22, they wouldn't be able to take their shades with them if they did this, but with +9 from Boots of the Messenger would give them 31. One of my Buddhas could potentially jump across 2 Plains provinces and, say, move from here to there in 1 turn, which is definitely something that I want to have the capability to do. I'm also forging some Skull Staffs, which are death magic boosting items that I just got access to, which I can use to kick some Buddhas up to death 4, thus making them very, very powerful Skella spammers. And that is my plan for stealing provinces. I have one Buddha checking out this fortress. This fort is basically undefended, or rather, its defense is Gigjas and Jade Sorceresses. So that's actually a pretty potent defense at this point in the game, but it's one that I think I can overcome. The main trick that the Gigjas have is going to be, they have Blood, Nature, and Death. They can have up to 3 in any, so they could be fairly versatile. The Death Gidges, at least, are going to be mainly Skella spam, because level 1 Nature and level 1 Blood don't give you much, especially if you don't have much by way of slaves. So, I'm not terribly afraid of that. My Pygmy army can wipe that fortress out. In fact, a few Buddhas could probably take that fortress. I mean, it would take more than a few. 8 or 9 Buddhas could take that fortress. I actually do have 8 or 9 Buddhas, and I'm getting more all the time. I am recruiting a Buddha from this fortress, and I'm now recruiting Buddhas in Mictlan because with the Baratos invasion, Baratos has contacted me and let me know that they will be okay with me jumping in on Tianxue. I'm not sure I want to do that because ideally his armies will be somewhere else. So I haven't set any orders to do that, especially because I would have to break my non-aggression pact, and I haven't made the decision to do that yet. But I am starting to recruit some troops and some mages down here, so that if it looks like Tianxue is going down, which they might, they have a fair grip of territory here. But if they do start going down, I can swoop in and at least carve off a few provinces from the top. Ideally, I would get Chilad, which was my original goal back when. So, I have once again spent out all of my money. I'm recruiting war lions and some infantry down here. I'm recruiting nothing up here except 1 pygmy per turn. Over here is where the main force of my troop recruitment is, pygmies and a few cheap, crappy infantry just to block for them. Down here I'm recruiting more lion queens for their fire magic goodness. Later on in the game, they will also be able to spam living fires. Speaking of living fires, my research is rolling along. I will hit conjuration level 4 next turn, which will give me some interesting things. It will give me Summon Lamashtas, which is a fascinating death spell that sometimes just really backfires on you. It's really only useful for, like, suicide casters. You summon Lamashtas, which are ethereal, undead creatures wielding wraith swords that fly, and basically they probably won't kill you first. They will probably attack the enemy first, so you can do that. At level 4, I can also summon Shade Beasts, which are not very powerful, but they are ethereal and you get a ton of them. So that's possible. The more important thing level 4 gives me is Strength of Gaia. This is a nature buff that gives you strength, bark skin, and regeneration, plus a boost to nature magic. So my Lion Kings can cast this without any gems, and my Lion Queens can cast it with a gem. And it's a very powerful buff. It's very time efficient, because in 1 turn, you get bark skin and regeneration and strength, which isn't really relevant, but plus the nature magic boost. Once I get that, at that point I have very, very high level nature magic, at which point some other things start to become viable. Wooden Warriors I could actually start casting now if I just researched up to it. But Army of Giants becomes viable from Lion Queens if I have a nature magic boost, and it becomes more easier for Lion Kings to cast. Transformation is kind of a weird spell that I haven't really done much with. Mass Protection, which gives bark skin to all of your units on the battlefield. That's actually quite a potent buff, and it would be one reason to go down Alteration. That and Marble Warriors and Iron Warriors down here at level 5. Iron Warriors is only area of effect 1, however, which is really, really unfortunate. Marble Warriors is area of effect 25. It does require an Earth Gem, but I actually have quite a few Earth Gems. For now, though, I'm going to grab Conjuration down to level 5, which will give me full-sized elementals. Full-sized elementals. And also Howl, which is another great nature spell that I could use in battle. And then I'm going to go back to Construction and get Construction level 6. Construction level 6 will unlock the very powerful magical items, which will make my troops even better. It will also unlock the Tree Lord's Staff, which is a nature booster that I'll be able to use later on. I don't actually know what wooden construct... Oh, it creates the lumber construct. Oh, that's worthless. Many of these are pretty worthless. Crushers can be cool if you're sieging, but I don't think they're worth 15 Earth Gems. Weapons of Sharpness, however, is quite a good buff. So if I ever go up to level 7 construction, which I may not actually, that would definitely be worth using. So that's my short-term research plan. My war plan I've explicated. Next turn, I'm going to start equipping Buddhas and sending them into Niflheimish territory. It's turn 33 now. Turn 35 is when the attack, I think, is supposed to start. I may still be moving Buddhas in at that point. So my attack may spread from 35, 36, 37. Ideally, it'll be turn 35, turn 36, then turn 37, I take the fortress. That would be the best. Hopefully that's how it will work. I think it probably will because there's nothing but Gigjas and Jade Sorceresses here. So, without much by way of protecting infantry, I think my pygmies will probably inflict massive casualties right off the bat, especially because Gigjas don't have any of the magic that makes them... Well, they do have skeletal body, but that won't help them against fire damage, so I think I can probably just wreck them with Flaming Arrow Pygmies. This is really, really interesting, and it makes me sad that I have a non-aggression pact with this player, because I would really love to continue my hyena-ish strategy of just picking provinces off somebody for no cost while they're involved in a war with somebody else. I suspect that Great Grey Shrike, the player of Baratos, will win this war, because I think he's a better player. And territory-wise, I think they're pretty even. Territory-wise, Baratos has like all this. All that is Baratos. Tianxi, however, has all of this. Pretty much. Roughly. They're about the same size as I am. Possibly... Yeah, they're about the same size as I am. So, it will be interesting to see how that goes. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about it right now, though. Between episodes, I may inform him that we're breaking the non-aggression pact. But, we'll figure it out. I will definitely figure it out. But for now, I'm focused on this, and I think this is going to go really well. Has this whopping army. I mean, it's only 220 units, so it's smaller than my army, but the units are better. They're not great, because Ur's units just aren't great, but they're better. So I think, will be moving this turn, probably, or next turn. I think the plan is to move up there and then attack 183. He said these were his first targets, and then he was going to be pushing up towards Niflheim itself, toward trying to take out the capital and score something of a knockout blow as early as he could. I have noticed that Niflheim is building another fortress over here. This is another army consisting of mainly skin shifters, they're sacreds, who can turn into werewolves. Agartha has a few troops here as well, mainly magma children, so they are summoning a lot of magma children, which is, appropriate. They have taken this Russian fort in Yildmire, and they lost nothing of consequence doing it because there was nothing of consequence there. I did kill a couple of enemy scouts in Urfel because I started patrolling with all of my archers. So that is good. Yeah, a Baratos scout and a Hinnom scout. Conjuration rituals are cheaper this month, so if I wanted to summon somebody, this would probably be the time to do it. I don't really want to lose research, though. I mean, kinda could summon what? Can't do Call of the Wild. He could cast Pride of Lions, I guess. How much would that cost? Yeah, it's cheaper by 2 gems, but I don't really want it. He could summon Fire Ants, which would be decent. He could summon Ogres, which wouldn't be great. He could summon Killer Manti. I just don't really need Animal Chaff at the moment. I could cast Terracotta Army, get some more Terracotta Soldiers. I have some of them. But honestly, I think I'd rather just have him research so that I can get that Conjuration level 4 in one turn. Because then going from level 4 to level 5 will cost 700 points instead of 400, so that'll be a bit tricky with so many of my mages moving out. Anyway, so I'm doing pretty well. In particular, I love the fact that I've gotten level 4 forging, because now I can forge all of these cool items, including the Skull Staffs, which I've talked about. I can also forge the Wraith Sword, which is an interesting thug weapon. I don't have melee thugs, so I don't really need to worry about them. I can forge the Golden Hoplon and the Charcoal Shield, which gives you Fire Shield. So you have that for free, basically. I can forge the Flame Helmet, which is a fire magic booster, and this is one of the things that might come in handy later. At level 4, I can also... You're forging the Girdle of Might. If I look at my god here, my god can forge just all kinds of stuff at level 4. In particular, he can forge the Winged Helmet, which is an air magic bonus. And he can forge all kinds of cool armor. And he can forge the... Where is it? There's a water booster that he should be able to forge. The Skull Mentor, for one thing, which is a research booster. It's pretty cool. Can't he forge the... Oh, no, it's level... No, it's, this, the Robe of the Sea. He's only water level 2, so he can't forge the Robe of the Sea yet. But once I reach level 6, he'll be able to forge the water boosting ring, which will boost him up to level 3, and then forge the Robe of the Sea. So if I wanted to, I could even dip into water magic with Funny Guy. If there's actually a... Ooh, Claymen. They regenerate damage. What does that take? Water primarily. So he would get 6 of them. That's not worth sacrificing his research for. I could cast Pale Riders with him, or Behemoth, or Twiceborn. So that would be an interesting one, actually, because if I cast Twiceborn, then if he died, he would immediately come back as a white mage instead of having to be summoned back, I think. I think it works on gods. I actually don't know that for sure, but I believe so. But once again, I think I'd rather just have him contributing 38 research points at the moment. Or possibly searching for magic sites, but I really would like to get Conjuration level 4 before the war kicks off. So we're going to stick with that for now. We'll have our Strength of Gaia to help us out. So that is the turn, and I'll see you next time. 2 more turns until the war begins. And we'll see how it goes. Once again, I have to do some negotiation about this. A word about diplomacy, since people have been asking me about diplomacy before I end. Yes, Dominions 5 involves a ton of diplomacy, and most of it is executed outside the game, because there is only one way in-game you can talk to players, which is to send a message. You can send a text message, you can pick who to send it to. Or, of course, you can send it to everyone. You can send money, gems, blood slaves, or magic items. That's it. The next time they have a turn, when the turn ticks over, whoever you've sent messages to will read your message, and they can respond, but that means it takes a minimum of 2 turns to get information back and forth, and it's only 1 message. It's much easier to communicate outside the game using Discord or forums or whatever. If you're in a game that someone organized, presumably all the players share some form of communication, because that's how the game was organized, and so you can get a hold of them that way. This does mean that sometimes you can't talk to a certain player, and players you can't talk with or who won't talk with you commonly become early targets. That's what happened to Pangea. Pangea never talked to me, and apparently he never really talked to either. And so, the two of us ganged up and wiped him out, because we were like, well, we don't want someone unfriendly right there, and you have to fight wars in Dominions 5, and he's an easy target for wars, so let's go for it. If you talk, on the other hand, you're likely to not be targeted so quickly, if for no other reason than because you seem friendly, and people don't necessarily want to, like, you know, they would rather have someone friendly to help deal with. I may switch over to recruiting scouts here, because I do definitely want more scouts. Crystal Sorceresses, Crystal Sorceresses are part of a possible late-game plan, where I grab a level of Thaumaturgy just to have communions, and communion up some air magic or something, but honestly, I've never really done much with communions, so probably I won't do much with that. So let's get a couple of scouts instead of another Crystal Sorceress right now. Because I love scouts, I want more scouts. Down here, I'm out of recruitment points, so I will take that extra money and use it to recruit some pygmies up here. Great, excellent. Okay, that's the turn, folks. I'll see you in the next one. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is the next turn, turn 34. Yeah, I think it's turn 34. Anyway, it is the turn that it's all going to go down. So, if we look at my messages, you may notice not much happened. I summoned some shades, research and conjuration has hit level 4, Agartha has got a new prophet, a couple of unexpected events, both bad, Urfel and Runia. Urfel now has only one of my dominion, which is sad, but kind of to be expected from all the heresy. But the big thing, as you can see from all these lovely red arrows, is that the attack on Niflheim is happening next turn. Niflheim does not have any idea that this is about to happen to him. This fortress, I just checked it a couple of turns ago, if you recall, it has about 20, last turn in fact, it has about 20 mages in it. They should mostly be researching. I am attacking this province with 3 Buddhas. Kibwana, who is actually my best Death Buddha at the moment, since I have equipped him with a Skull Staff, as well as some Reinvigoration and Speed items, giving him Reinvigoration 6 right out the gate. Once he casts Summon Earth Power, he'll be getting Reinvigoration 10. And in combination with his Death level 4, which lets him cast a Horde of Skeletons for 10 fatigue, he'll only be gaining basically his encumbrance per turn. He has no armor fatigue whatsoever. He's going to throw Stone Skin on himself, which is a risk because it will make him more susceptible to cold damage. But I'm betting these are Gigjas and Jade Sorceresses. They can't actually cast cold magic, and they don't have cold auras. Unless there's a Nifl Jarl or a Nifl Giant, Stone Skin is fine. I do want at some point here to research up to Alteration level 3, so I can be using Iron Skin instead of Stone Skin, just to avoid that weakness to cold. But that can wait a turn or two. Actually, I may do that now. Yeah, because Conjuration level 5 is going to take a couple turns anyway. Let's go Alteration 3, Conjuration 5, and then Construction up, because Alteration 3 will happen in one turn. Okay, so setting that aside. So, we've got 3 Skella-spamming Buddhas hitting this fortress, Welrid, next turn. This province is being hit by 2 Skella-spamming Buddhas. Neither of them have any upgrades, they're just at level 2 death, which is okay. They have a little bit of reinvigoration, they will summon Earth Power, they should be fine. This province is getting hit by my army. This huge, huge army. It's got some elephants, it's got some mindless troops, it's got plenty of infantry, or at least a reasonable amount of infantry, and it's got a ton of pygmy archers. 129, about 160 something, 200, over 200, 240 approximately, about 260 or 270 archers, backed up by, how many is that? Let me see, 23, 13, 12, 10, that's another 22, so that's about 50, 60, yeah, with about 100 infantry in front of them and the elephants, and a couple random units scattered in the back to eat attack rear orders. So this is a very big army. I am going to throw down flaming arrows turn 1, and then Mpingo is going to kind of buff herself up and start casting spells with the rest of her fire gems that she's got with her. This army should absolutely run over this province and then move on to the fortress. The plan is those 3 Buddhas are going to lock the fortress down so that he can't actually do anything like recruit any more units or anything here in case he has some recruitment available. The next turn, the turn after that, the army will attack. If he tries to push the Buddhas out with his mages, they're going to run into this army of flaming arrows, in addition to the Buddha support. And that will cause a very, very serious problem, because all those flaming arrows should be able to cut down his Gigjas and Jade Sorceresses double quick time. Unless he pulls some super powerful magic out of his hat, which he might. That's always possible. Don't discount it. I'm sneaking some troops into this province. I'm sneaking in a couple of Buddhas. I'm not attacking yet because I don't know what kind of province defense he has here. So I'm moving some troops. I have about 50 infantry and I have a few archers here. Plus I'll be able to use the Buddhas that attack this province to help attack this province next turn if I want to. So depending on what I see in this province this turn, I'll either go ahead with the attack and bring these Buddhas in for a total of 4, plus, a few infantry. Or I will ignore this province, let him buff the defense up to insane levels if he wants, and instead take the provinces around it. I am moving my profit up. It's kind of a question because on the one hand, not taking it this turn gives him the time to pump a huge amount of province defense into it if he wants. And Niflheimish province defense might actually be a little bit tough to take down with Skelespam. But on the other hand, if I just attack without scouting, and he already has a whole bunch of province defense here, then I could be in trouble. He doesn't have a whole lot of province defense in any of these other provinces, though. So I'd actually be pretty willing to gamble. Oop, I don't have any province defense over there. Let's put myself 1 point. I'd actually probably be willing to gamble that he doesn't. It's kind of a hell of a thing to gamble the lives of 2 good Buddhas on, though. You know what? Maximum aggression. Let's do it. Oops, wrong button there. Press the window key instead of control. We're going to go in with Mbamba and Hashima, and we are just going to see if we can't take that place out with 2 Skelespamming Buddhas. They are 2 of the better ones. This guy has 3 death naturally, and this guy's buffed up, so he has 4, plus the girdle. So I think they can probably do it, just because they can crap out an absolutely disgusting quantity of skeletons, and the wraiths, the shades rather, will help keep them alive, just in case there's anything fast and scary enough there to get to them. I think there are no enemy military units there, so it's all province defense, which is fine. So, assuming everything goes to plan, all these 3 provinces I'm going to take this turn. This province I'll take next turn with a Buddha that I am, Badalini, who I am sneaking over there in that direction. The fort I will lock down this turn with my Buddhas. Then next turn the army will be on top of it, and the army should have enough siege strength to bust it down. War elephants have a ton of siege strength. Rhino clan warriors have pretty decent amounts. Terracotta soldiers are just regular human. Pygmies have very, very little siege strength, but like I said, I have 200 of them. So they will still contribute like 40 siege strength to the siege. And the elephants, I have 6 of them. I have 17 elephants. They'll contribute very significantly. And my Rhino Clan warriors, of whom I have, like I said, I have almost 100 assorted infantry. Some of them are Hyena Clan, who are only 1. Rhino Clan, however, are 1.4. So the Rhino Clan warriors will also contribute significantly. I should have enough siege strength to pretty much kick down the walls in fairly short order. Now, they do have wall integrity 500. So this fortress is going to hold out for a few turns. But I should be able to take it down pretty quickly. That's only a bramble fort. That's a Pangean fort that he actually took. So should be able to conquer that one pretty fast, because it only has wall integrity 150. My forts only have wall integrity 250, so they're also not too hard to kill. In other news, I'm recruiting more troops down here, including some pygmies, because Tianxi is under attack, as we talked about last turn, and they don't seem to be doing too well. Like, I'm looking for the defensive armies moving in this direction, and I'm not seeing them. I mean, there could be an army lurking right here that's moving up for all I know, but it looks like Baratos is carving off a pretty good piece of territory, and they are not fighting back much. The other interesting thing is that, of course, Yomi had a huge army right here last turn, and I am not sure where it's gone. I need more scouts. I desperately need more scouts. That's why I'm still pumping out 2 scouts per turn here, instead of recruiting more moon mages or crystal sorceresses. The sages are also coming in very, very handy. My fortress there will be completed next turn, and I'll take a little bit of extra money to upgrade that so I can start pumping these guys out at 1 per turn. So, Niflheim, I think, is going to go down pretty hard and pretty fast, just because they don't have any defenses here. We haven't signed a non-aggression pact that I know of. Has his army ready. Now, Agartha has ended their non-aggression pact with so might be engaged in a fight with Agartha pretty soon, but hopefully, as long as they can take this fort before that, I think I'll be fine. I mean, really, I do. I mean, Niflheim's capital is right there. So we're about equidistant from the front line. But as long as I can kick their fort down pretty quick, they're building a fort right over here. Some of their forces are over here. I don't know where all the rest of their forces are. I think they may not have focused much on building troops, which would be a terrible, terrible mistake. It's interesting that he hasn't reacted to this giant army being here, because it's been here for like a turn or two. So, he probably suspects that I'm coming, but I don't think he suspects the Alpha Strike. I don't think he suspects that this is about to happen. In particular, he probably thinks that his fortress is relatively safe, because his fortress is a province behind the lines. When he sees this big army, he's like, okay, the big army's going to march through, it's going to take a couple of turns. The 3 Buddhas jumping on this fort hopefully will be a surprise, because, of course, he can't see any of these Buddhas, and I've got 8, plus the one I already had in his territory. That's a lot of invisible mage power. That's a lot of skeletons. We should be able to do this. The thing that could destroy this plan, if he actually has like 10 Gigjas in here, and he sets them all to patrol. If he sets 10 Gigjas to patrol, they will run into my 3 Buddhas and probably win. Gigjas, well, it depends on the randoms, actually. If they're all death Gigjas, they would definitely win, but most likely only 3 of them would be. And they would only be 2 death, so I would actually have an advantage. That would be tough to call. He would have some nature magic and some blood magic in that fight, and I don't know what research he has, so it would be hard to say who would come out on top there, but it would be bad. Like, no matter what happened, probably I would lose 3 Buddhas, which would be terrible. However, with this army, he doesn't have anything, I think, that's close enough to stop me from marching that army onto his fort and sitting on it for a few turns until I've crushed the walls. So that's gonna happen, unless something goes terribly, terribly, awfully wrong. This is going to happen. That province is going to be taken. This province is probably going to be taken. This is a little bit of a gamble. If he has a ton of province defense here, then 2 Buddhas might not be enough to take it, but like I said, these are 2 pretty good Buddhas, and they will be crapping out a lot of skeletons pretty quickly. Since I've put them all the way at the back, I've done this with all of my Buddhas, because when they're alone like this, I don't have to worry about distracting with attack rear commands. attack rear commands are going to hit them anyway. Actually, I take that back. There is one way. I take that back. There is a way I can draw attack rear commands off, or at least try to. And that is to have one shade way up there on the other side of the map. But no, what am I doing? He's got no army there anyway. There's no point to that, because I know for a fact that there's nothing but province defense there. And Niflheim has no flying troops and no cavalry, so there's that. So if he's put a whole bunch of province defense in here, I might lose, but my Buddhas would probably manage to retreat either to that province or to that province when it's captured. I think it can be captured and they can retreat to it in the same turn. Because technically all battles happen simultaneously, and then I think retreats happen. I'm not sure, but they do have at least one retreat area that they could retreat to. This army will be moving up, we'll be getting ready. Basically, the Alpha Strike here is, assuming everything works right, going to take the whole frontier and lock down the fortress. After that, my Buddhas will expand further on. I'll probably stealth them again and actually sneak them up to like here or here and try and cut off his movement while the armies move in. And it should go well. I feel like Angerboda is actually a hero. Let me look that up actually. Hold please. Okay, yes, Angerboda is a Niflheimish hero, and she's a hero who has astral magic, as well as death, nature, and blood. So she's quite dangerous, actually. The good thing is she's facing not me. And should be attacking this turn. I'm not sure why these 160 units are still sitting here instead of moving, but I'll talk to him about that, see if I can get an answer to that question. And, yeah, because I definitely don't want to be going in alone. We'll see what happens. I do definitely want to go in. I just don't want to go in alone. If I have an extra turn, I can probably set this up to take, like, a whole bunch of territory, at the risk of him finally deciding to react to my army. You know what? It's probably actually better to go in this turn, just to maintain the element of surprise insofar as I can. So, let's do it. Let's do this thing. Anyway, that is going to be the whole turn. There's a few other, little movements, scouts, that kind of thing. But in general, the turn is this attack. That's Rus. Agartha, Hinnom has said that they are going to be attacking Agartha. However, I don't actually see any of their armies lined up unless they're in these two provinces. So it's interesting that they said that. But we will find out. And of course, this war down here might give me some opportunities. We'll see what happens. So anyway, I'll see you in the next turn where we will have a few battle reports to look at. Take care, everybody.